Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before I get started on this video, which is obviously my labor and delivery video, I just want to take a moment to just address my current emotion. I mean, after bringing two men into the world, two black men into the world, and obviously having my children's father being a black man as well, I just feel as though it is important for me to just take a moment and say that Black Lives Matter. And if you're in the US and you're a person of color, especially and particularly a black person, I hope you stay safe, and I really hope that you support the movement and that we can all together bring change one way or another. So yeah, this is my labor and delivery video, and let's get started. So first of all, let's just play a little game here. I want to see how many of you guys can guess how I gave birth. A, I gave birth in the most natural way possible with no like medication or anything. B, I had an epidural. C, I had a C-section. So you guys can guess now which one you think I did, and then towards the video you'll see if you're right. So let's recap. In my pregnancy video I said something along the lines of, and that was pretty late. My babies are due on the last week of May, but they are expected to come a little earlier than that because I've already started opening up a little, and that was on May 3rd. So let me tell you what exactly happened after that video. Basically on May 3rd, I was scheduled to have a my next appointment with my OBGYN was on the May 5th. And then that was supposed to be my last appointment before we decide, you know, we just schedule the birth and whatnot. So basically I went there on the 5th, and I went there, he saw that I was pretty much open. My previous visit to the OBGYN, he had told me to go and walk an hour every day for like until our next meeting. So when I went there, he had to check how open I was, and it turned out that I had not opened much more at all. I had walked all this time for nothing. And basically what happened was both my sons' heads were really like down, like really close to each other. Well, kind of close to each other. They were getting closer to each other because they both had their heads down. So he told me, okay, well, you know what, we're not going to make a decision as to how we're going to give birth or how we're going to deliver them just yet. You know, just go home, walk some more, and come back on the 9th. So that's what I did. I walked, you know, with my mom. We just had so much fun walking around the whole damn neighborhood. And then on May 9th, I had my meeting. I go there on the 9th, and then he checks if I've opened up more at all. And turns out, nope. It's been static. Like, I've been walking, doing all this stuff, but no, it just did not open at all. So he was like, okay, let's go ahead and do an ultrasound and check how your babies are positioned, you know. So he checks, and then he sees that their heads again are both down, and he sees, you know, Kendrick stayed put. He's been with his head down for like the past 3 months, and then Nathan joined him and put his head down right there, and Nathan's head got like really close to Kendrick's head, and so he was like, them heads are like a little too close, and you know, I'm not sure how exactly this is gonna go about, because turns out if their heads are too close and if their heads are too close and the contractions start, he's not quite sure if how the babies will react to the contractions, being their heads are so close. So the thing that they wanted to avoid is to end up having a collision and some kind of, you know, accident and have their two heads knock each other. So he was like, you know, just to be safe, I know, Zara, you want to give birth in the most natural manner possible, but just to be safe, I've been telling you this for a while, what I would suggest is that we schedule a C-section and just do it that way so that we don't risk anything happening to your children. So I was really disappointed because I know it sounds really stupid, but I just always felt like if I give it through C-section, it's not as like, you know, I'm not as cool as the people who do it, you know, naturally. You know, it's not the same experience. I mean, that's how I felt. I don't know if it's crazy, but that's just really how I felt. And also C-section means cutting me open, and I wasn't about that life, right? So we go ahead and we sit down, and obviously with my mom, because my mom was always there. And then he tells us that we should basically just be safe and schedule it. And then he was like, we should schedule the C-section for the Thursday, because May 9th was a Monday. He was like, let's schedule it for Thursday the 12th in the morning. So what you're gonna do is that, okay, tomorrow you're gonna go to the hospital. He's gonna go and take your vitals and all of that, just to see how you're doing and to see how he's going to administer the anesthesia and the anesthetic or anesthesia. Oh my goodness, I don't know. I was supposed to Google that word before doing this whole video, but I don't know. So, god damn. This is when I realized that I really wasn't born an English speaker. This is terrible. So I'm not sure which one it is. Anesthetic, I'm going to say, because I don't want to say anesthesia. It's not like a damn fool the whole video. So the anesthetic, and then he was like, you know, just so we administer it, we're gonna check that your vitals are good, your heart rate, your blood pressure, all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, whatever. This is what's gonna happen. I'm really sad. Mind you, my stomach is like bananas, right? If you see, this is a photo of like the night before I went to see the doctor, and this is a photo of the night itself after I went to see the doctor. So intense, right? So basically so I go home from that and I'm kind of sad. I'm, you know, waiting for the next day and stuff, and then we go to sleep. I go to bed, and then like at 2 a.m. I wake up. Mind you, at this point in my pregnancy, my bladder is like this small. Basically, I go to pee every like 15 minutes if I drink water. So I was like, okay, I wake up and I'm like, oh god damn, I just peed myself, right? Because I'm like, it's all wet in between my legs. Oh my god, I peed myself. This is so embarrassing. How old am I get up, and then I'm like, do the crazy thing, right? Just want to make sure that my water didn't just break. So let me make sure that I really just peed. So I'm kind of like, let me smell it, right? I'm sorry if this is gross, you know, let me know. I'm sorry, but like I just, this is how it happened. So I'm like, okay, it's like 2:14 a.m. and I'm like, okay, let me smell it. And I'm like, this doesn't smell like urine. Like, what the hell's up with that? Like, this doesn't smell like I just peed. So I get up, and as I'm trying to I'm trying to bolt to the bathroom. Like, I feel like something else burst out of me, and I'm just like leaking, like hardcore leaking all the way to the bathroom and back to my room. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is it. Like, my water definitely broke, because this is not peeing. Like, this is not how you pee. Right? So I'm like, okay, let me call my mom. So I called my mom on the phone, and I'm like, oh my god, my water broke. So obviously she runs out, puts some clothes on, and boom, she's in my room in like 30 seconds, all dressed up. Like, I don't know how she did it. Like, we grab the bag, we make sure that I have every little thing that I need, camera, which I didn't even end up using, the baby suitcases, my hospital bag, blah. Okay, we're like, okay, my dad's there. We get in the car and we drive, right? So you guys probably don't know this, but like, there's been a lot of terrorist attacks on like the African continent, you know, and it's getting closer. So there's been one in Mali, which is pretty damn close to freaking Senegal, right? And there's just been a lot lately. Senegal's in the high alert, so there's like police checks security checks like at every roundabout and whatnot. So as soon as we head out of my house, we reach a roundabout like 30 seconds later, right? And then there's like the guy, the military guy who's there, like the gendarme, he like stops us because he wanted to check our car, because it's kind of shady that this family's trying to drive around at like 2 in the morning. Then the guy is about to ask my dad for like his papers and stuff, but then he sees me through the window, and like obviously my stomach at this point is like, you know, so he just looks and he's like, oh, no, don't worry, just go, right? Because I guess he understood it was time. It was go time. So we just drive, and then, you know, the roads are empty, which is great. It's the middle of the night, super. We get to the hospital, to the clinic, and it just looks like, it looks empty. Like, we ring the doorbell, and it takes like hours for people to like open to us. It isn't hours, but like 10 to 15 minutes, which is a lot for a hospital, you know? So eventually they take us in, blah, 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 checked in, and then I have to go into this waiting room for sick people, you know, and they put me there, you know, they changed me and stuff, and I just do not look stylish at all anymore at this point. It's like, I wasted time doing my hair because I thought I would be giving birth and look pretty and stuff, but no, here I am looking like I'm working in a canteen. So I'm waiting. Obviously Simo has shown up at this by this point. Obviously he's there in the room with me. We're just waiting, because I called my OBGYN, and he had told me that they would just open me up at 9 a.m. So obviously I was like, okay, so I've got my children's birthday figured out. It's 9 a.m. on the 10th of May, right? Then they come to me and they're like, oh, we're going to operate you pretty soon. And I'm like, really? Oh my god, this is so stressful. Instead of having it happen at 9 a.m., they told me that I was going to go in at 7. So I go in at 7. Basically they take me into the room. I say bye-bye to Simo, say bye-bye to my mom. They're all like, oh my god, this is it. In the meantime, I think my sister and my cousin arrived because I had obviously texted them that my water broke. So they take me into the room, and then they're like, okay, we're going to administer you this anesthetic, and it's going to numb you down from your torso all the way down to your feet. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I'm not like asleep, so this is great. I get to see what's happening, kind of. So I'm there. They basically just inject me with this thing in my spinal cord, and I lay down. And at this point, like 2 seconds later, I can't feel anything. Like, I cannot feel my feet. I cannot feel my torso. I'm trying to move. I can't do nothing. So I'm all just like, I can only move this, you know? So I'm like, okay. And then I'm excited because I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see this whole thing happen, right? Well, no, they put this freaking sheet like right up here, so I can't see them cutting me open, which I understand, you know, you don't want me to faint out of shock, but I always thought that was going to be such an important moment for me to just see my children coming out of me. I don't know, it's just something that I really cared about, but I guess I just did not get. I just know that, like, I can feel that they're cutting me open, kind of, but I can't really feel it, but I can feel kind of a sensation, but not really. So they do this thing, they open me up, and like legit guys, the second they said, okay, we're cutting, 30 seconds later, bam, I hear my baby crying, right? Like, my baby's out. And instantly, as I heard his tear, like I heard him crying, like, I don't know if this is some hormonal thing that happens to every woman, but like, as soon as I heard his cry, I was bawling. I was in tears, like out of control tears. And so the woman brought him from around the sheets, like the nurse brought him from around the sheets, and she brought him to me, and I'm like, I turned my head and I'm like, oh baby, you know, because it was Kendrick, and I just knew from his face that it was Kendrick because he came out first. So I'm like, oh baby, and you know, you're so cute. And they just took him away. So just like, she was like, I couldn't really touch him, you know, like it was really upset. Like, I was sorry, it was an emotional moment because I couldn't really like touch him, right? I could just look at him, and he was gone like 15 seconds later. So he's in this other room, and I hear his crying and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my god, my family's gonna get to see him before me. And then like, by the time all this happens, like a minute later, my other baby's out. So this happened so quickly. Like, my baby's like, Kendrick came at 7:05 and Nathan was out at 7:06. You know, it happened really freaking quickly, and I went into the block at 7. So this whole thing is like, damn, like, you know, lightning speed, right? So I hear Nathan's crying, like I hear Nathan crying, and I'm still obviously bawling out of control. And the nurse doesn't even bring him to me. Like, I don't even see him, right? And he's already out the door and getting washed up and changed, you know. So I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even get to see my baby, but whatever. Like, I'm sad, but I'm so happy that they're here and that they're healthy and that they look perfect. And I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm crying, and obviously it's just emotion, right? It's just, you're just happy, but I'm just crying. Like, I won't stop crying. And then like, as they start to like, as they're messing and trying to stitch me up and stuff, I'm like, oh my god, I need to throw up. So they bring this thing to me, and I'm just like throwing up like non-stop, right? And I think obviously to me that's the effect of the anesthetic, because it's not the first time that I have this reaction to an anesthetic. And like I'm just like throwing up, and it's so funny because it's never been this hard for me to throw up because I couldn't feel like my insides really. So it's really weird. Like, it was such a crazy experience. So basically that's what happened. And then so they stitch me up and they take me out, and then as soon as I'm out the door, I see my cousin and my sister just looking at me and being so happy. And then I'm not sure that I saw my mom or Simo at the time. I think they were just they didn't even care about me. I think they were just stuck with the children, right? And at this point, I guess the nurse told Simo, like, oh my god, well, you guys are all with the babies, who's gonna go and see her? So he ran to come see me, and then he was just like so happy, so like hardcore. He's like, oh, you did it, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh my god, we did it, you know. And then next thing I know, my whole family's up in there. My whole family's up in the room with me. And then the nurses bring my babies, so I hold them for the first time. And then I look at them, and I'm like, Kendrick here, and Nathan there, and I'm like, oh my god, my babies, you know. And and it was just such an emotional moment. But little did I know that this was just only going to be like how physically hard it was going to be to recover from a C-section, right? Because as all this happens, you know, you're so into the emotions, you don't even know really what to expect. Because I not once did I genuinely believe I was getting a C-section. Like, I didn't believe it the whole time. Like, up until even when my water broke, I still thought I was going to do this naturally. Like, it just, in my head, I was like, no, I'm not getting a C-section. The end of the day came, and I still couldn't move my legs or feel them for that matter. It came basically the next day, and when the anesthetic wore off, I was like dying. Like, I wanted to cry. It was so painful. Like, it was terrible. It was the worst pain I've ever been in my life. Like, no lie. Like, I felt contractions, and contractions were better than that pain. You know what I mean? Like, it was terrible. So I was like, oh my god, this is awful, and had to put more painkillers and stuff. But the next day was like the hardest day ever, because this is the day when I'm starting to feel my legs a little bit, and they ask you to stand up because, you know, you're gonna change and you're gonna be brought upstairs to your room and stuff like that. And the first time I got up, it just took everything out of me. Like, the pain was just insane, and my head was just you know, and it was horrible. It took me quite some time to recover and be able to walk properly. I think it took me like 2 weeks. But yeah, it was a pretty intense thing for me. Like, it was nothing that I could have ever imagined or expected. But, you know, my babies are here, and they're like the most beautiful things I've ever seen. They make me so happy. I tried to tell you guys everything. I think I talked too much. I apologize about that. It's just, there's no other way around it. Like, talking about how you gave birth, it's a really long process, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so happy to introduce my children, like formally introduce them to you guys. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Comment down below what videos you want to see. I love you guys. Bye.